All right. Well, thanks, Annie, for allowing us to interview you today. How are you doing?
Good, how are you?
Doing pretty good. All right. Well, first, we're going to start with some questions about cosplay.
Okay.
All right. So, how long have you been cosplaying?
Well, I kind of started weird, like staggered. So like I was like kind of dabbling at first, like I kind of want to dress like Lara Croft, and that was probably like 2016. I threw together my first Daenerys outfit and went to a con. But I never started like making anything until about the beginning of 2018. So I officially count the beginning of 2018 as when I started cosplay.
Well, that makes sense. I mean, sometimes you don't know if you're going to want to pursue it all the
Yeah.
way. So what kind of cosplayer do you consider yourself?
I consider myself a hobbyist, mainly because I have my day job and everything, and then at the end of the day, I come home and do cosplay if I have the energy. But I'm like almost like a hopeful hobbyist. I'd like to someday have a bigger name, maybe be a guest at a con or something. That'd be awesome. So.
That's cool. It seems very realistic and, just cool. Why do you cosplay?
Honestly, I love the finished like photograph. Like being able to pay homage to something I love, like whether it be a video game or a film or a show, and I get to kind of recreate it and be a part of it, and it just feels great. Like I'll have somebody message me and be like, "I was watching Aliens last night and I saw Vasquez and I immediately thought of you because I mean, duh." And I'm just like, ugh, that matters so much to me because it's like such a big part of my life, that fandom. So I guess altogether it's just a passion for the fiction, for the story, and being able to be a part of it in my own way. So, and
Oh, that's cool.
I love the challenge of creating something that's almost a replica. So,
Yeah, I mean, you do a good job.
thank you.
So what got you into cosplaying?
Hmm. Well, I have always loved like Halloween and dressing up, and I've always had a big imagination. When I was a little girl, I'd see The Lion King or I'd see some other show, and I'd pretend I was that character for days, weeks, months, whatever, however long it stuck. And as I grew up, I just kept finding myself drawn to characters like Lara Croft or you know Lady Sylvanas or somebody, and being like, oh, I wish I could just dress up like that, but yeah. And then I started like noticing cosplay, and I was like, this is something I could actually do, and it would probably be fun, and just decided to give it a shot. Like my first cosplay was just a Halloween costume, and then I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wear this to a con, and it just kind of happened. So the imagination, the love for the nerd culture, and the creativity. I've always been very artistic, so it all just kind of came together.
There's a lot of things that, cosplayers have. Like there's all these interests and then they can be combined into cosplay. So it's pretty cool.
I have written on my Facebook page, a jack of all trades finds a niche. It's like my little slogan because I've always like done this little hobby or this little hobby, and now I've found something that I can like put it all together. So it works.
So this is, I think, a tough question. What's your favorite cosplay you've put together?
This one's actually not tough for me.
Oh.
Furiosa is my favorite
Ooh.
because that one for me was the most challenging. Her arm was extremely challenging, and I learned a lot of new skills to make that. And I also loved. I was like, I went full commitment. I just shaved my head, and I had a really fun time just being a part of Furiosa. Because when I went and I watched Mad Max, I walked out of that theater just a changed person, and she really, really like struck me. So when I see photos of myself as Furiosa and I look so grungy and my head's shaved and I have that metal, like all metal claw, I just feel so proud of that. So
That's awesome. Wow. If you could cosplay anywhere in the world, where would it be?
I'm gonna have to say I would love to cosplay a hobbit at Hobbiton in New Zealand.
Why? Yeah, you seem to really like to, well, we call it method acting in theater. So I'm not sure if it has a term in cosplay. But it sounds like you get like invested. I mean, you shaved your head. You could have worn, I don't know, a cap or a wig or something. I don't know. But Like,
Kind of. It makes me feel more like the character, and then I'm able to better replicate the attitude, or create a better
yeah.
image in the end. So, kind of similar.
No, that's really cool. Like you
Thanks.
like to the embrace the identity of it and everything.
Well, I love the character, so that's usually why I choose a cosplay, because that character, I love them, so I love
Yes.
to be
Yeah.
them for a moment.
Yes. Do you enjoy going to con and cosplay? Like, have you been to?
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Just last year, I went to Dragon Con for the first time, and that was a life-changing experience. There's lots of little cons where I live. Like one of my hands-down favorites is Youngstown Comic Con. It takes place in Youngstown, Ohio. It's a tiny con, but it's got a big heart, and I love the people that go there. And I've met some of my most dearest friends since I've begun cosplay because of cons. I get nervous though. I get socially anxious around people, so when I go to cons, I'm like walking up in my costume, like real scared. But I usually end up having a good time. So all in all, yes, I like cons. I'm more on the creating and photography side of cosplay, but I do love going to cons for the people. So
You get lots of compliments. That's fun.
you do when you get people running up to you like, Khaleesi, and they're all excited, and that's so much fun.
It's like being a celebrity, kind of.
Almost like
Yeah.
a secondhand
Like a different kind of.
kind of.
All right. So, what is cosplay to you?
It's I think I said it earlier. It's like a paying homage to the fiction that I love, to the stories that I love, whether it be a game, a film, a show, or even like I haven't done a book character yet, but I can see myself doing it. I love good stories that touch you, that change you, and to be able to like pay homage to that is why I love it, because it like all the work that like Jenny Beavan, for instance, the costume designer for Mad Max Fury Road, the work and the heart she put into those costumes, and all the years that they took to make that movie, and being able to say I love it so much that I'm going to dedicate all this time and energy to recreating it, that's why I like it.
That's a great
that's what it is to me.
reason. That's a great reason to like it. What's your best memory while in cosplay?
Man, see, this one was a hard one for me. Best memory while in cosplay. I was racking my brains about this, and I couldn't really think of much. You know what? I'm gonna say probably my best memory in cosplay would be the first time I ever tried it, and I felt how cool it was. And that was like the moment that I was just like, I'm gonna do this. This is, I'm gonna have fun with this. And it took me a while to get started, but that was like that moment. It was like an aha moment, like I'm doing this as a hobby. So I'll say that.
It kind of sounds like you almost didn't know how much you would like it.
I had no clue. I was like, it'll be fun, and it definitely surprised me. So
what's your dream cosplay?
oh, right now, are you familiar with Guild Wars 2?
Oh, what was it? Sorry.
Guild Wars 2.
Guild Wars. Familiar, but maybe fill me in a little bit.
So Guild Wars 2 is an MMO by ArenaNet. And I have a character in that MMO named Breeze Scorchheart, and she's a Char Guardian. And the Char are these like 7.5 foot tall cats, like big cats with like horns, and they're just like big and burly, and they have all this armor and stuff. And that's my dream cosplay. That's like the one that I'll probably just hang up the hat after I make that one.
But you need stilts though.
Yeah, and fun fact, I already have them made. So
wait, really?
Yeah, so I'm hoping to someday make it.
I mean, I don't know if this is like a private thing, but how tall are you?
5'2".
Oh, okay. Wow, yeah, I really do need those stilts. Okay, and unless you want to like play a mini version, I don't know.
Like this is me as a Char, guys.
Yeah. What's your funniest cosplay story?
I think one of my funniest cosplay stories was when I went to Dragon Con last year. I went as Furiosa, and I have a friend on Instagram, well, a real life friend, but on Instagram, he's GrimSage99. And he and I and his girlfriend at the time, we went to Dragon Con together. and he dressed up like one of the wives from Mad Max Fury Road with the pregnant belly and everything. And he's substantially taller than me. So the whole night we were walking around, he was dressed like, you know, splendid Angharad with the big belly and the wig, and he kept acting like I was protecting him, and it was hilarious because he's like full beard, pregnant belly. It was such a good time. I think that was probably one of my funnest cosplay memories.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I can see why.
I have a picture of it on my fridge.
Has anyone ever mistaken you for a different character?
Yes.
It happens. Yes.
Yes. Lara Croft gets mistaken for Katniss Everdeen quite often.
Oh, I don't know why that's like insulting to me. I don't know. Anyway, maybe
same,
I am.
Because I love Hunger Games and I love Katniss, but like Lara's like, I've loved her since I was like 13. So I'm like, no, I'm Lara Croft. But I try to be nice. One of these days, maybe I should do a Katniss cosplay. Just be like, this is Katniss.
And then they'll be like, are you Lara Croft?
And I'll just be like, I can't wait to lose.
So are you perfectionist or are you willing to sacrifice accuracy?
I lie somewhere in the middle.
Okay.
I am, when it comes to certain things, I'm a perfectionist. My Furiosa hand, I was not going to go for any less. But in a lot of ways, what I try to do is I try to think, okay, am I catching the character? If someone looks at this, are they going to see the character? Or am I freaking out about nothing? So sometimes I try to take a step back, like, all right, so that seam isn't in the exact right spot, but is anyone going to notice? Nope, they're just going to think you're Daenerys. You know, so I try to reel myself back on purpose sometimes because I can get a little too upset sometimes.
I don't know, maybe it was the seams, that's why they thought you were Lara Croft. No.
Yep, it was all the seams.
Mm-hmm, all the seams. So what's the character you've worn the most?
Definitely Lara.
Oh, okay, cool.
Yep. And then I'm working on my third Lara, so it'll be even more Lara forever.
I've heard talk of a new game.
You know, I've been following that too.
Yeah, I don't know much.
All I know is I have this dream that they'll redo the first game ever, but with like new Lara and like the new survival. That would just be,
Ooh.
Oh my god, I got goosebumps thinking about that.
That'd be cool. Yeah, so you've played like Lara like way back in the day.
Yeah, with PS1.
That's awesome. So, what's your favorite prop you've made? Because I know you make things. You
Definitely my Furiosa hand. Definitely.
Oh yeah. Well, that sounds like it was very intense and intricate, yeah. Right?
It was a huge challenge, and it was actually made out of metal, so I had to learn some like new skills and get some new tools. And I love the sound of it when it like clinks and clanks, and you know, that's hands down my favorite prop that I made.
Oh, I'm sure that was kind of heavy then.
Actually, since it was aluminum, it was pretty lightweight. Oh. Yeah, okay. So I wore it for like a good 8 hours at Dragon Con, and only near the end of the night did it start to like kind of get heavy near the bottom of my wrist. So it was pretty good.
I think you probably sacrifice a lot of comfort though. You're like, no.
Yep. Corsets,
especially
with outfits that are really tight.
No. I mean, yeah, with accuracy and the little bit of perfectionism makes sense. So what is, in your opinion, is like a pro cosplayer? Like what makes someone that?
I think it's two things. Someone who's able to either substantially supplement their income with cosplay, or that is their income, or somebody that has a big face in the community that influences others, like teaches others, or something they do might start a trend, or just like not necessarily big name people like Jessica Negri, Yaya Han, but they are professionals, but like people that have an impact on the community as well as are able to actually make a little bit of money doing the hobby. That's what I consider professional.
It's always the hope to have some money for what you love.
God, I know.
Do you have any cosplays in the works?
Mm-hmm. Actually, right behind me, wrong way. I'm working on Senua from Hellblade, Senua's Sacrifice. That's the tartan there. This is my OC, my Wendigo original character, and the new mask is in the works too. But mainly Senua and Shadow Lara. Lara from Shadow of the Tomb Raider are my two in the works right now.
And there's so many costumes to pick from, you know, because you
hard.
wear. How do you decide?
Build the base one and then build all the fun ones that she wears over top.
You know what? That's a great idea. And then like in con, you could just like change it up. I don't know.
Like wear the mask with the poncho. That would be a fun one, I think.
That would be fun. Oh, what advice or tips would you give new cosplayers?
So I think the best advice you can give anybody starting cosplay, or really anything in general, is don't be afraid to just try. You don't know what you're capable of until you actually just do it. You'd be surprised how quickly you learn and adapt, and you'll eventually come out exactly where you want to be as long as you keep just trying. If I didn't try some of the outlandish stuff I do for cosplay, I would never know I would be able to do it. Like the metal work, I never knew I'd be able to do that. I was just like, I'm doing it out of metal. I have to. And it worked. So I just try. I just do it. And that's what I think anybody else should do.
It's like Nike's slogan, you know, just do it.
Yeah, essentially. Like all this, the worst that can happen is maybe you waste some money on materials, maybe you waste some time, but best case scenario, it actually works. So just try.
Well, thank you for talking about cosplay with us. And now we're going to ask some video game questions.
Ooh, I like these questions.
So what's your favorite game?
If you would have asked me about a year ago, I would have said my favorite game is Chrono Cross for PlayStation 1. But when I played Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice, it dethroned everybody. So I have to say my favorite video game I've ever played is definitely Hellblade Senua's Sacrifice.
Definitely can change over the years. So that's what it's supposed to. It's supposed to do that, I think.
They keep upping the ante.
So, what games are you looking forward to coming out?
There's so many. But I think mainly the one I'm like counting down the days to is the Hellblade sequel. And then I want to see what Halo Infinite's about. So that one, I know there's a Resident Evil 4 remake in the works, that one too. So probably those three would be good for me. I'm really excited about Senua though.
So what do you like most about video games? Like the story, graphics, character development?
Usually for me, it's the story and the character. If like we'll just use Senua for example. Senua, by the time I was done with that game, I would probably like jump between her and a bullet because I loved her so much. I was just like, I love her. She's so wonderful and so strong. And she was like, I don't know, just that character, I fell in love with her, and the story was so inspirational. And like, so for me, it's if it grabs me, almost like a good movie.
No, that's cool. So what games would you recommend to people?
Again, Senua.
Yeah, probably.
I will always recommend Tomb Raider because I feel like, especially the new ones, they really tell a really gripping story. They're not as action-oriented as the old games were. They're more concentrating on Lara's development and seeing who she becomes, and I really like that. Another game, Guild Wars for sure. If you're looking for a fresh take on an MMO, the world is beautiful. The characters are awesome. I love and ArenaNet, the company that makes the game, is fantastic too. So I mean, gotta love a good dev team. So I think those are the ones I would really recommend. Oh, and the new Resident Evil remakes, because those games are amazing.
So what's a really popular game everyone seems to love, but you don't like?
Overwatch. I don't like Overwatch much.
Okay. What's a game you did not expect to enjoy, but you ended up liking?
Resident Evil. So I didn't know that RE3 remake was going to be as good as it was. People kept saying, you look like the new Jill Valentine, and I was like, oh, okay. And then my boyfriend was like, if I bought it for you, would you play it? And I was like, hey man, it's your money, I'll try it, we'll see what's going on. Because I've never been good at horror games. They scare me like a lot. And Yeah. And I started playing it and was just amazed at how good it was. And I caught myself like getting scared and wanting to log off and being like, but I want to see more Jill and Carlos, so I'm gonna keep playing. That one for sure. Resident Evil 3 remake.
So you're saying I might survive it. That's good to
You
know.
absolutely will. It's scary, but it's definitely doable.
Good. Ooh, so what was the last game you completed?
Mm. Resident Evil 3 remake.
No, there you go.
Yep.
Ooh, and are you playing any games right now?
I am playing actively. Well, I get on Guild Wars 2 quite often to log in and see what the new stories are that they're creating. I'm playing a Darkest Dungeon from 2016. It's an RPG. It's very difficult. But I love it. I love the art and the music and everything's awesome, and it has a really unique what's the looking for mechanic to it where your characters get stressed out in the dungeon and they can have heart attacks and stuff. So you have to like keep their stress levels back or else they'll like die of a heart attack. So it's really unique and I really like it.
Oh, are these console or PC games?
Guild Wars 2 is PC. Darkest Dungeon I'm playing on my Xbox, but it's also for PC too.
All right. So do you prefer to do solo games or multiplayer?
It depends, honestly. I'm not huge on competitive multiplayer where you're killing each other. Mainly because I'm not really good at it, if we're gonna admit. But I do like the cooperative games, like teamwork. Like if I played Destiny 2, being in a team where there's somebody who's aggressive DPS and somebody who's like protective, and I like having like that dynamic where we all support each other. So I guess like all in all, I like both. It just depends on my mood. Some days I'm like, get away from me, I want to be alone. And other days I'm like, yeah, I want to interact with some people today, so let's play something.
So speaking of being alone, what have you been doing during COVID-19?
Well, I'm actually very fortunate that my day job, we never stop working. We're considered, essential. So I have been working the whole time. For a while, I was working at home. But other than that, I was doing housework and spending time with my pets. And I did do some cosplay work. Like I made Jill Valentine, both the RE3 and the classic version. And so doing some photography, photo editing, just trying to keep my mind off the chaos of the world a little bit.
So will this change future of cons, do you think?
I think, well, my take on at least what the science is saying with COVID is that it's going to be around for a little while, unfortunately. And I hope not. But so I think that it's going to be a little while until we're going to be able to get back to our regularly scheduled program. But I feel one way it will change cons is that people are going to be so flippin' excited to get back to going to cons and seeing each other that it's going to be like a massive rager every con you go to like next year. It's going to just be like so much fun. So in a way that's like so many people are eager to get out there, and I think when that finally happens, it's going to be a whole lot of fun.
So I feel like that answers the next question, but I'll ask, what are you looking forward to most when
seeing my people?
Yeah.
Just seeing my friends, being able to hug my friends. It's nice. Like I did a photo shoot for a cosplayer friend the other day. We had a socially distanced photo shoot, but I just wanted to like hug her so bad when I saw her. Like, I missed your face, but we had to be like, yo, elbow bump, so.
And now we have a random question. If you could be a dinosaur, what dinosaur would you be?
Absolutely a Pachycephalosaurus.
Dang, that's very specific. Is there can we know the reason? Or
they're just feisty little things, like they're not huge. They stand about like like a little smaller than a horse. They're the ones with the big dome and they just like hit things with their head, They're just little bamfs. I like them.
Oh man. Hey, well, thank you for letting us interview you today.
Seems you have the same problem as me. Just tongue-tied.
I just was so thankful. Just no. So how can people find you on the interwebs?
Um, I am on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter as Annie Graves Cosplay. If you just look up Annie Graves, you'll find me on any of those platforms. So, and then each one is linked to each other. So if you go to my Instagram, I have my link tree that has everything else in my bio. So Annie
Cool.
Graves.